Good evening, everybody. Wow, Kesha, that was amazing. It's hard to follow that, right? Do you guys have your tissues and your tea? Because this is like, something's wrong with my camera here. I'm so sorry. I'm like, look at the bags under my eyes. Turn that dang light down. Okay. So, super, super sensitive subject. Very, very near and dear to my heart. So I'm so happy that so many people are eager to learn about how to take care of their bodies, right? So we can be proactive. We can do all the things we need to do to try to prevent cancer, right? And sometimes we don't, and sometimes it hits us and we're faced with that diagnosis. And then we go through whether we choose to do chemo, radiation, go natural, like whatever your choices are, but you're left in the aftermath. So like Kesha, I would like to start out and say that I am not a doctor. I cannot teach you about the body systems, but I can share my story and I can tell you what it is like to hear the words, "You have cancer," and what to do after you've been through the ringer, right? So I feel it's really important to share my story. I know some of you, well, probably most of you have heard my story, but I just really feel like it's very important in this whole journey and what led me to essential oils, because maybe some of you are new to essential oils and aren't sure if we're just sprinkling glitter on poop, right? With essential oils. So to start out, in 2005, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. She actually came up to me one day and said, "I have this lump in my breast. Will you feel it and see what you think?" And so I did. And seriously, it was the size of probably, I want to say, a grapefruit. And I was like, "Mom, you gotta go check that out. Something's not right, right?" So she did. She went and got a biopsy. And we got the news that she had breast cancer. Now, cancer had not been something that had happened in my childhood. Nobody in my family had had it. So this was a major shock to our family. She ended up having to have a lumpectomy and started chemo. And then 6 months later, my aunt, her sister, was also diagnosed with breast cancer. So my aunt's doctor said, there's something interesting going on here. We want you guys to be tested for a gene called the BRCA gene, which is the breast cancer gene, to see if it runs in the family. And sure enough, they both tested positive. Unfortunately, my aunt lost her battle after about 3 years. And my mom went into remission, and we thought everything was going to be okay. And then it was a couple months after I'd... slow down. My husband's telling me to slow down. Okay, deep breath. Let's take a sip of tea. It was about, gosh, I'm trying to remember. It's like such a blur. My mom called me one day and said that her cancer had come back. And she wanted me to go get tested for this BRCA gene. And I was like, no, like, I'm young. I just had I had 2 babies, 2 small babies. I was in my late 20s. Like, cancer doesn't hit till you're 40, right? Like, I got time. But then after I had my daughter and watching my mom go through it a second time, I thought maybe I should go get tested. And so I did. And I tested positive for the BRCA gene. So what that means is that my risk of cancer was raised to about 75% of getting cancer in my lifetime because I had this gene, versus about 12% for an average woman who does not have this gene. So I started doing some research because I am a researcher and that's what I love to do. And I was like, what can I do to prevent this from happening? And they said that I could get a preventative mastectomy, and that would lower my risks back to that of an average woman. So I met with a doctor and a plastic surgeon, and he said, you need to meet with a breast surgeon and you need to go get a mammogram to make sure there's no cancer already detected in your body. And I was like, okay, fine, whatever, no big deal. So made an appointment for a mammogram, and it was about 3 days before I was to go in to get my mammogram, and the hospital called and said, your insurance denied your mammogram because you're under the age of 40. So at that point, I was about ready to give up. I was frustrated. I didn't know how I was going to pay for this, but I finally found some financial aid. I went in, my husband went with me, and they did a mammogram and they found a large mass in my right breast. And I thought, I just got done breastfeeding. It's just a block milk duct, right? I'm fine. They ordered a biopsy, and that was on a Thursday. We had to wait the full weekend. It was a 3-day weekend for my doctor to call with the results. And she called and she said, I'm sorry to tell you this, but you have breast cancer. And I actually asked her if she was joking. I was like, I'm 28. I have 2 children under the age of 4, and my mom is fighting for her life. I do not have time for cancer. I remember walking out and my husband was in the kitchen and making eye contact with him and just like crumbling to the floor. Like, this was our new reality, right? So the next few steps were a blur, and I just remember people making all the decisions for me. And it was like, okay, you're going to have this surgery. You're going to have this chemo. This is what we're going to do here. You're going to take out your ovaries. You're going to not have to do radiation. Thank goodness. We're going to test and make sure that it's not in your lymph nodes, just like pretty much through this ordeal. And when I was in the hospital getting ready to have my mastectomy, I remember looking around the room, and there's like just people lined up in beds. I felt like I was like in this factory of of like breast removing, right? And it really hit me that the sensitivity of this disease has been taken away. And one thing my mom told me when I was diagnosed, and let me tell you guys, that was one of the hardest conversations I've ever had to have, was telling my mom that I also had cancer at the same time she did. She said, Liv, you have to be your own advocate through this. You have to speak up for yourself. You have to ask questions. You have to demand the best treatment possible, because nobody else is going to do that for you. And that has stuck with me 10 years later. I'm almost 10 years out now, that I have to be my own advocate. So I had the double mastectomy. When half of the reconstruction failed, I ended up having to have a implant put on one side, and then I have a DIEP flap on the other side, which is tissue from my stomach they put into my breast. That same year, I had to do chemo every other week for 4 weeks, and then I had a oophorectomy, so they took my ovaries. And 3 days before my third chemo, we had put my mom into a nursing home because she couldn't care for herself anymore. And hospice called and said, we don't think your mom's going to make it through the next 24 hours. You need to come say your goodbyes. And so we did. My husband's staring at me. He's going to make me cry. Don't make me cry. I'm going to power through this. We went in and we brought in my babies, and they kissed Grandma goodbye, and we sat there and held her hand until she took her last breath. And just the words of ringing in my ears that you have to be your own advocate, like, ring true to this day. So I fought through. We finished chemo, and it was about a year after. I was a hot mess. I had powered through everything for my children. Sorry, they always get me. I powered through because I wanted to be there, a good mom for them. So I stuffed everything down. I was on an antidepressant. I was on anxiety medication. I was on pain medication. Oh my gosh, I was on like 2 handfuls of medication, but it didn't help. It masked my grief, my pain. And I was on the couch, basically unable to get up and take care of my family. And I remember, I think it was my son was like, Mom, come down and play cards with me. And I was like, I can't, I don't have the energy. I can't. And so that moment I prayed to God to bring me an answer, to help me get up off the couch and take care of my kids. And I think it was within that month, Alyssa Stanley had approached me at our kids' preschool, and she said, I have something that I want to show you. Come over to my house and let's have coffee. And I was like, okay, whatever, wasn't quite sure what she was going at there. But I went over to her house and I sat down, and she pulled out all of these little bottles little brown bottles that smelled amazing. And she rolled this like peppermint yummy deliciousness on my back. And I remember all the stress just kind of like melting away. And I was like, what is that? I need some in my life today. And that was when I was introduced to doTERRA. And I think I bought one of the larger kits that had a little bit of everything in it because I was ready. I was at my breaking point. I was ready to take back my power. I wanted to be able to self-medicate instead of putting my power into everybody else's hands because they had made all these decisions for me and what was going to happen with my body. I was ready to take back that power. And I know not everybody is ready at that time or at a certain time. It does come. But I came home, the oils came, and I looked at my husband and I was like, zip, just happy wife, happy life, right? You just shut your mouth and I'm going to dabble in these little oils and they're going to change my life, okay? So luckily, my husband is amazing, very supportive, and he did. He zipped his lip and just let me do my little potions and my voodoo and whatever. And then I got this amazing book called Modern Essentials, and I opened it up, and the first thing I really wanted to tackle was my depression. I so badly wanted off of my antidepressants. I had been on them before cancer. I'd been on them since high school, and I was done. I was done feeling numb. So I opened up the book, and one of the first oils in that book was Balance. And I was like, okay, I think I have that one. So I started putting it on, wearing it daily, carrying it with me. Every time I started feeling sad, I would just breathe in this essential oil, and it just brought me this peace and this grounding and this, like, I felt whole again. And then the next thing I looked into was our supplements, which if you're not familiar with our Lifelong Vitality, I was like, I'm on a handful of vitamins that my doctor wanted me on. She wanted me on vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin B, B12, turmeric, L-carnitine. I had a list going over here. Let me look real quick. What? Q10. Can't thank you. Q10. And there's one other one that I'm not remembering. Wasn't following my script apparently. Vitamin C. Omegas. Duh. And so I'm taking all of these supplements from my doctor, right? And I'm like, they're all in here in 3 bottles. I'm going to do this instead. Okay. So I actually sent this to my doctor and I said, this has everything you want me on. I want to do this instead. And she was like, you're a healthy young woman. You know, those look great. By all means, jump on it. So I did. And I started the LLV, and I have not stopped. I have not missed them since. And it's been 7 years. I love my Lifelong Vitality. It has everything we need in it. So if you're not familiar with this, after chemo treatment, after surgery, if you've been under anesthesia, radiation, anything, all of those things affect our body for years to come. I Googled this and I'm like, chemo leaves your body in 3 days. I call BS. I'm 10 years out. I'm still dealing with side effects. I have Hashimoto's. I have depression. I have PTSD. I have influxes in my hormones because they took my ovaries, right? But even if you go through chemo, it's still going to mess with your reproductive system, your endocrine system, your brain. Have anybody heard of chemo brain? Oh my God, it sucks. Neuropathy, your body is in pain. You're hurting all the time, right? 10 years out, still dealing with this stuff. So chemo leaving your body in 3 days. All right, that's a lie. Okay, so the Z Omega. This has your omegas in it. You guys, if you've had chemo, if you've been under anesthesia, you need omegas in your life because that stuff affects your heart health. It makes your heart weak. It raises your risk for heart attack, for stroke. It weakens your heart muscles, your heart valves. So you need to be on an omega to help with your heart, okay? Especially women. We need that more than anybody. And this also has the essential oils in it that are going to help. Frankincense being one of them that Kesha just talked about. Frankincense is huge for helping to balance our body. It's amazing for brain health. It's amazing for heart, body, lungs, cells, balancing out your hormones, like amazing. Okay. So if you haven't looked at this guy, I highly recommend it. The next one has the Alpha CRS. This one is amazing for pain and energy. But, and I love the name of this one because CRS, hope you don't have any kids in the room, but I remember this as alpha can't remember shit. Okay. So when you have had chemo, you have brain fog, you have even anesthesia can screw up your memory for life. It messes with us in so many different ways. This is going to help you with memory, with focus, with being able to really get the words out of your mouth like I'm trying to do right now. I promise I took this today. It's just super powerful. And energy. We get fatigued. Fatigue can last a really long time too after you've been under anesthesia or have had chemo. So that's going to help get your energy levels back up. I swear by these 3 were what got me off of the couch to be able to get on the floor and play with my children again. And then our VMZ, this is going to have your vitamins A, C, D, E, K, B12, B6, calcium, iron, iodine, magnesium, zinc, selenium, copper, like all the vitamins that we need to help our body repair itself are going to be in this guy. Okay. So Lifeline right here, my favorite. And then, like I said, balance. The next thing I really wanted to work on was my scars. If you guys know anybody that has had a major surgery or you yourself have had surgery from cancer, those scars can do a number on your self-esteem. They are not something that, you want to say you're proud of them, right? These are my badges. This is how I survived. But I can tell you guys, I'm not going to go to the hot springs pool and get undressed in a locker room full of women that can see my scars. I'm going to go hide in the bathroom. Whether I can say I'm proud of them or not, it's something that I'm not going to do in front of people. I'm still ashamed. So I put on frankincense, sandalwood, and lavender in a roller bottle and started applying and massaging to all of my scars, and that helped them fade. And this is when I first started oiling, so I'm like, so exciting, right? So that is a great way to use frankincense as well because it helps repair tissue and it's going to help fade those scars on your body. And then Roma Touch. If you guys haven't used that one, it is our massage blend, another one of my first starter favorites. I had awful neuropathy that would go down both arms and down my legs in the middle of the night. I would wake up tingling, in pain. I couldn't write for very long. I couldn't type for very long. It hurt to drive. I don't garden, but if I did, it would hurt. Folding clothes, laundry, it hurt to do anything. So rubbing Aroma Touch with lotion up and down my arms before I went to bed gave me sleep again. I was able to sleep without waking up in pain. So that was another one that I use still to this day for any kind of pain or circulation assistance that I need in my body. Okay. So other things we did, we switched out all of our cleaners. We started using making our own DIYs to get rid of the toxic load in our home. I started being more aware of what I was putting on my body. We know that parabens are in a lot of our makeups, our lotions, our sunscreens. We know bleach is awful for us, but we, still clean with it. Well, we don't, but a lot of people aren't aware of that. They don't think that, oh my gosh, I just mopped the floor with my pine saw and here's my 2-year-old toddler walking across it barefoot. We have to help teach people that is not okay. So by making our DIYs with our essential oils, we're cleaning up our house. We're making it green, right? We're reducing toxic load for not only our infants and our babies, but our children who maybe are going through puberty. We want to lessen all of that. Our animals, our dogs, yes. We want to take care of our fur babies too, right? So we wiped clean our home, started going all natural. I started making a lot of our cleaning products. Luckily, doTERRA gives us On Guard, so I don't have to make a whole lot. I just use the On Guard Cleaner Concentrate and the foaming hand wash in every bathroom. We have that. So that was our life in a nutshell, right? We were good for 5 years. We're trucking along. We're using our oils. We're teaching people. We're having this aha moment. My husband came on board and decided I wasn't full of crap and started teaching classes with me on essential oils. But then I hit another roadblock. It was about 2 years ago. I had gained a lot of weight. My energy had depleted even though I was still on my supplements. I wasn't feeling good. I was exercising and I thought I was eating really well. But I apparently wasn't eating well enough for my body. and I hit another roadblock, and I was kind of frustrated because, right, I changed my whole routine. I was using oils. My home was clean and green. I was reducing toxic load. I was doing everything that they told me to do to feel better. And something was still off. I was still burying something. And so I started digging into the emotional side of cancer. So if you're not familiar, which my team knows that I am like obsessed with the emotional side of everything, so they've heard this, but when we have something traumatic happen to us, like a cancer diagnosis, like chemotherapy, like losing your breasts or a limb, or having to get rid of, your ovaries or your uterus, or something about your physical features change due to cancer, it takes an emotional toll on you. And it's not addressed, I don't think, nearly enough in the after cancer support and world, right? So we don't talk about it, and we bury it. And when we bury emotions, they manifest into more diseases. So I didn't talk about my emotions. I didn't talk about how pissed off I was at cancer. I didn't talk about my anger with God on taking my mom. I didn't talk about the years I lost with my children. And I shoved it down. And it manifested right here and turned into Hashimoto's, which is a thyroid autoimmune disease, which the doctor diagnosed me with and said, here's a pill, let's Band-Aid it. And I said, no, I'm going to do some digging. So I went to a functional doctor and we started digging. And obviously, the chemo had really screwed up my thyroid, but my gut health. So I learned during chemo that our gut, right, is super important for our immune system and our emotional health. But chemo trashes your gut lining. Like, it trashes your whole body, let's be honest, right? But how often are we told we need to restore our gut health after we've gone through surgery and chemo? Very rarely. I don't hear of it very often. So my functional doctor was like, we need to heal your gut. You have SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. The bacteria probably got in there when your gut was weak because it never was repaired after you went through chemotherapy. So this is what we're going to need to do. We're going to clean up your diet. You need to do food testing to see what is causing inflammation in your body. We're going to cut out gluten. We're going to cut out dairy, anything that's going to cause inflammation in your body. And you're going to go on a 2-week liquid diet. And we are going to put you on some extra supplements, which I'm taking. I took my LLV, but she added some vitamin D and some omegas, and some other supplements to really help me heal my gut. And that was a process. It took about 4 months. And also in that process, I went through this spiritual journey on my own of how many emotions I had shoved down. So if you guys aren't familiar with Louise Hay, she is amazing. She talks about the emotional side of every physical ailment, not just cancer. If you have any physical ailment that you're using oils for, or you've used medication for, or you've tried everything and it's not going away, I encourage you to look at the emotional side of that physical ailment, because chances are you are holding on to some kind of deep-seated grief, anger. You haven't found some forgiveness for somebody, and this can happen as young as when we're in the womb still with our mothers, right? Something happened maybe when you were in the womb. I had deep-seated anger with my father. My parents were divorced when I was little. Breast cancer, emotionally, anger at a male authority figure, right? So bingo. SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, anger and resentment at something. I'm not forgiving. I'm not digesting what happened to me. I'm not digesting that my mom died the same time I was going through chemo, right? So it manifested into something that eventually affected my thyroid. So there's a quote in this book, and it says, all diseases come from a state of unforgiveness, and that whenever we are ill, we need to look around to see who it is that we need to forgive. And when I look back here at cancer, it says a deep hurt, long-standing resentment, deep secret or grief eating away at the self, carrying hatred, feelings of what's the use. Yes, Louise Hay. And then I love this one too, Feelings Buried Alive by Carol Trueman. Amazing book as well. She also dives into the emotional root causes of our physical ailments. So these are great books if you're ready to do that work. You're ready to heal something in your body before it manifests into something worse, or you've had cancer and you don't feel like you've done the process emotionally. These are amazing. And then the oils that I've used for that are Forgive, obviously, which is one of our emotion blends. That is like all over. Geranium, which is an amazing oil for healing a broken heart. I love putting that one over my heart. I love Balance. And then I love the new Adaptive. This one has helped with my PTSD, which has been off and on coming and going throughout my life, that the fear of something bad is going to happen, because it's always scary whenever you've gone through trauma. You always have that fear in the back of your mind. So Adaptive has been my lifesaver. And then, of course, I use Console. This month is going to be 9 years since we lost my mom, February 28th. So I'm putting on a lot of Console this month, a lot of journaling, a lot of talking to her, a lot of meditation, and a lot of being okay with where I'm at and that I'm okay in my grief. And I'm not going to force myself to power through it and pretend that it's not real for the sake of other people. Okay. Some other oils, gosh, like all of the emotion oils, I can't tell you. You just need the whole package if you're going to do any emotional clearing, because every single one of them serves a beautiful purpose. And if you haven't gotten this book yet, Essential Emotions, this is amazing to help you see that there is an emotional tie to every single oil. So look at that. How funny. I turned to DDR Prime. This is the oil of transformation. When we're transforming from one person to another, this is going to help you do that and really give yourself a rebirth. Okay. So very cool book. I love this book. It's like my Bible. So what am I doing now? What am I doing to keep my health going, right? Yes, the Unicorn Blend. Thank you, Connie. That is all the emotion oils put into one roller. It is phenomenal. One of my favorites. But what am I doing now? So now I am doing DDR Prime every single day, because it not only helps with my thyroid health, but it still helps with my high risk. I've made my children roller balls with DDR Prime that we roll up and down their spine, because there is a 50-50 chance that I pass that gene on to them, unfortunately. So if I can use the oils to be proactive and keep their health up, I'm going to do that. So we do DDR Prime every single day. Frankincense, I do that every single day under my tongue for brain health, as well as keeping my cells happy and getting rid of the ones that do not belong in my body, as well as depression. Frankincense is amazing for depression. So I do a drop under my tongue. I use copaiba, grapefruit, and what's the other one, baby? What other one do the three that we use? Copaiba, grapefruit, and you don't know. You're looking at me like you don't know. There's one more that I can't think of at the moment. I should have wrote down. Anyways, I put those in my water to help purify, cleanse, get any, lemon? No, it's not lemon. Any environmental junk that I've maybe taken in, because we take in environmental toxins every single day. So by diffusing and drinking my lemon and grapefruit, copaiba, I am helping rid my body. Okay. But of course, I make sure to get quality sleep. I'm a huge believer that you need to create a bedroom sanctuary to heal your mind. When you're sleeping, that is when your body is resting and resetting. We need to make sure we're getting quality sleep. We need to turn off our electronics 30 minutes before we go to bed. Get the TV out of your bedroom. Get the junk. Get the laundry out of your bedroom. The treadmill. All of the stuff that is not a sanctuary, right? So create something where you're going to be able to sleep peacefully. Yes, Janelle, pink pepper is amazing for breast cancer. You can either put it in a roller with the DDR Prime and roll it over your breasts, your lymph nodes, or you can drink it in water if you're brave. It's actually pretty good. But that is a good one. Thank you for bringing that one up. And then eat well. Like our food, if you guys have never really dove into your food, it's amazing what kind of inflammation that causes in our body when our body rejects it, doesn't like it. And there's some things that you might never think. Like when I did my food allergy testing, one of the things that popped up on it was apples. And I love apples. Like I used to eat apples probably 3 times a day. I loved apples. So when that came back on my test that caused inflammation in my body, I was kind of sad, but I was like, interesting. I thought maybe, it was just junk food that caused inflammation, but it's not. So if you feel like you have some inflammation in your body, especially if you're healing after chemo or surgery, really dig into foods that might be affecting your healing process and really wreaking havoc on your body and your gut. Okay. I love taking a probiotic. We have the amazing PB Assist. And then, of course, our Terrazyme, which is our enzyme to help us get all of the nutrients out of our food. But make sure that you're digesting that stuff properly. So that's why it's really important to focus on your digestive health and healing that gut. Mindfulness, taking time for your mind, healing, using your emotion oils, journaling, meditation, walk in the woods, whatever really speaks to you, making sure that you're taking time to really heal and get centered in this busy world. I know some people are like, I can't meditate, I can't journal, I can't yoga. Well, then don't. If you don't like it, don't do it. Don't force yourself to do something you don't like because you're not going to get anywhere with it. So find something that is calming and peaceful to you that you love, whether it's just this. So a lot of people are like, I don't have time for self-care. I'm like, oh, watch, I can do self-care in 3 seconds. Taking a breath of an essential oil. Like, you guys know how that feels, right? That was self-care right there. Even if that's all I have time for today, that was enough. Taking a good quality supplement. You guys know the LLV is amazing. It is a very high quality supplement, something I recommend to everybody that is trying to heal their body. Processing any anger, sadness, and regret. I talked about that. Learning to love your scars, learning to love anything that might remind you of the cancer or the trauma that you've been through. Grapefruit is a really, really amazing emotional essential oil to help with loving the body. So if that's something that you need to wear as perfume, put in your diffuser, put it on and just look in the mirror and learn to love yourself again. Learn to love your new normal, okay? Because this is new normal. Lean on your spirituality, whether you go to church or you believe in the universe or spirit or angels, whatever is your spirituality, lean into that. If you feel like you've got some anger there, work through that. That is going to help relieve so much pain that you're holding in your body. Okay. Find your support system, your friends and your family. When we go through cancer, sometimes we lose friends and we lose family that just can't handle it. We did. But we've also found our support system. We know the ones that are there for us during hard times. And then my last recommendation is get to the root cause. If you have something flaring up and you've been through chemo or cancer, even if it's been 10, 15, 20, 25 years, I encourage you to find a doctor, a functional doctor, somebody that is going to go and dig into it for you, because you never know. When I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's, they wanted to band-aid it with a medication. And I went and dug and found out that it was my gut and that I had heavy metals in my body, and that was some work that I could process through to heal my Hashimoto's without being on another prescription drug. I'm not all anti-prescription. I know there's some good things out there, but it's not something that we need to depend on for a lifetime. We can heal our bodies. I totally 100% believe that. And then be your own advocate. That is the message that my mom left. That is the legacy that I want to leave for my children, is you have to fight for your life. Just like Kesha went back to that doctor and said, no, I want to look one more time. And she saved her baby girl's life. Like, you have to fight for your health, you guys. Okay. I could go on this tangent all night. I'm very passionate about this. Is there anything I'm forgetting? Husband. Okay. So that is it. I also go get a massage. Well, I try once a month. Go to the acupuncture once a month. I get chiropractic work once a week. And I just really do mindfulness in the morning. I sit in my chair with my coffee and I journal and I talk to God and I do what I need to do to be okay in here before I come out to the world. Okay, so love you. I know Kesha wants to jump back on and has a little closing for us. So please get off of this, come back one more time, If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer anything. If you want to private message me, reach out to Kesha if we're not friends on Facebook. But I appreciate you guys hanging in there and listening. Have a good night.